Would you like to be more connected and informed about your community? If so, it's time to find out who's doing what around town with Moot Point. Moot Point is a local podcast that covers the issues and topics that are relevant to all residents in Albion, Maine. Moot Point is a production of The Moo at moo202.org. And now, here's the host of Moot Point, Brad Taylor.
Well, I want to thank you so much for listening to our very first episode of this new podcast called Moot Point. I'm Brad Taylor, and this is a podcast about life in Albion. The purpose of the podcast, as well as the entire Moo Project, is to help people in Albion feel closer together by making everybody aware of all of the very special things that are happening in our town. And one of those special things that's going to be happening is a special event put on by the Lions Club. It's an ice fishing derby. That's coming up on Saturday, February 17th. And today I have with me Tom Bolen, the man responsible for organizing the derby. So, Tom, I want to thank you for coming in and talking to me and sharing what you're doing.
Well, thank you, Brad. I'm quite happy to be here. And to your earlier point, it's really about our project. It's really about bringing families together. As you know, there's a lot of poverty in Maine, and a lot of folks have. It's quite tough in the wintertime for families. And we thought 6 years ago that this would be an opportunity to simply bring families together, give them some good playtime on the ice, and hopefully that's making a difference in their lives.
Okay, so you say this started 6 years ago. I take it you've been involved since the beginning.
I have. Yep.
Okay, are you sort of like the parent of this? Did you get?
I am. It was one of those Minnesota things we brought east with us. As you know, Minnesotans love ice fishing. If you've ever watched Grumpy Old Men on the ice,
oh yes,
certainly a lot of ice shacks on Minnesota waters, and really that's what we try to do: bring some of that east, and certainly combine it with a lot of good sportsmen and sportswomen out here in the Albion area that also love to ice fish. And we found a great spot here with Lovejoy Pond. It's a beautiful little pond here in Albion. That really isn't used all that much in the wintertime, certainly from a club standpoint for ice fishing. So we thought it was a good opportunity, and it's worked out very, very well for us.
Okay, great. Now, based on past experience, how many people do you think might participate in the Derby this year?
Yeah, on average, we normally run anywhere from 80 to 100 people. It's a good turnout for a small pond in a small area. And the lion's share of that 100 folks are really a lot of kids. They just have a great time on the ice, and to see them bringing their fish in, holding them up against their chests and beaming from ear to ear is just great reward. So.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So you say a lot of kids. Is it split equally between boys and girls, or do you get more boys than girls participating?
Generally more boys. But when it comes to competition and really being out there with a competitive spirit and really fishing hard, I think the girls are right up there with the boys. They just love to fish.
Oh, yeah. Well, now, speaking of competition, let's get into a few details about the fact that this is a derby. So explain how the competition is going to work.
Okay, so there's two age groups, 15 and below and 16 and above. There's 4 fish categories. They are white perch, pickerel, smallmouth bass, and largemouth bass. There's for first prize in each one of those areas, there's $100 cash along with a handmade plaque. 2 of our line members actually make the plaques. They're beautiful plaques. So all told, there's 8 plaques along with one additional one for the smallest fish caught. And that's $25 cash reward along with a small fishing plaque, the smallest fish plaque. So it's good. It's a lot of fun. And frankly, it's a lot of money. Our club, I should say, let me back up. This derby is probably one of the highest paying derbies in terms of prize money throughout the state.
Oh, really?
We have, Frank, let's see, $825 in cash prizes. And then we have 4 raffles. We have the large $800 cash raffle, which is $500 first prize. The second prize is $200. Third prize is $100 for $800. And then we have the fun raffle, which is a lot of the various types of things that people give us, Afghans, blankets, toys, etc. So we have that. We also have a 50-50 raffle. And then we have a bait raffle. The one of the local folks here, Mr. Doucette, who runs the bait shop here in Albion, actually donates, and he has donated to us for the last 3 years, $100 worth of bait.
Wow.
So in total, it truly is a great derby in terms of both sponsorship and also prizes. So plus a lot of fun.
Sounds like it would be. Now, you talked about all of this, cash money that's being given away for prizes. Is that something that the Lions Club raises strictly from the ticket admission price, or do you do other fundraising during the year in order to be able to offer those kind of prizes?
Pretty much across the board, it's all from tickets. So both from we sell the raffle tickets for the large cash raffle. It's $5 per ticket, or what, 25 or 20 actually for a book of 5. And then we also the fish weigh-in. When folks come up to weigh in their fish, they have to purchase a ticket to be able to do that. So that, offhand, I think that's $3. Don't quote me on that. I should have that. I should have that fact, but it just escapes me right now. But regardless, so a combination of all of that, along with donations from various folks and Lions Club members, that pretty much makes up our entire kitty, if you will.
Well, I was sent a fact sheet from the Lions Club, and all of the information that was on that fact sheet, which I think is also a poster which has been put around town.
That's correct.
All of that information is on the Moo community calendar at moo202.org. And so therefore, if you're listening and you're going, boy, I can't remember everything that's being said, it's okay. There is a place where you can get this information, and it's all right there. You just have to click on the event. The date, again, is February 17th, so you'd look for it on that day on the calendar, and then just click on it. It's just loaded with all kinds of details as far as that's concerned.
So Brad, if I may just interject 1 second here, being that my memory is great, but it's very, very short, could you tell me again what that address is?
That is moo202.org.
Thank you for that.
It's and by the way, that comes from the fact that Route 202 is what goes right down Main Street.
Okay.
That's the 202, and Moo is just because there are a lot of cows in Albion.
Yes.
So that's where all of that came from. So it was just meant to be fun. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, now since you're the guy who organizes this, give me a sense of what kind of work goes into making a derby like this successful. What are some of the behind-the-scenes things that just have to be done if the derby is going to be successful?
Great question. I think there's certainly a lot of little things that we all do from the Lions Club standpoint to really make this work. So there's we start our groups getting together in October, And then we normally meet about once a month for a while, and then we come up to as we get closer to the event, we actually go to 2 times a month. We have a core group, and if I may shout out to them right now, there's a great core group, and that's Vita and Linda Vitale, all local folks, Jack and Carlene Nickel, Mary Rowe, Cindy Spalding, and my wife Elaine. And by the way, Elaine makes the greatest cookies, which brings everybody over to the house. They certainly love her snacks. And we get together, we talk through what we need to do, and we have a whole list of things, everything from the logistics of putting on the event to parking, making sure that people are safe at the event, sanding the pathway down to the lake. And if I may, one other shout out, and that goes to the Fullers, Roy and Sharon Fuller. They have just been fantastic to us, to the club for the last 6 years. They've opened up their camp to us. They've opened up their property to allow access to the lake. Just outstanding people, along with their son Alan, who has just done an outstanding job for us in terms of ticket sales. So collectively, there's a good, strong group that actually puts it on. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of other folks within the Albion Lions Club that certainly do a lot of work. I think year 5, or actually year 4, 2 years ago, if you all remember, it was quite cold out, and yet some of the ladies in the club, even though they were freezing, they were out there just pitching in, selling tickets, selling food. I mean, it was just a great day, cold, but yet warm. Right.
So now, what sort of things do you guys supply, and what sort of things do the competing fishermen have to supply in order to participate?
Great question. So what we normally do, we rely on the friendliness, if you will, of the other fishermen to drill a lot of the holes. A lot of the guys come out, they have power augers. They're more than willing and happy to actually drill holes for people. Some of us also have fishing gear that we're more than willing to lend, augers, hand augers, things of that nature. However, I would highly recommend if people do want to come and fish, spend some time. If you can get some traps, get some poles, get them. But if you can't, we'll make it happen and find something for you. The goal, obviously, is to get out on the ice, have fun, and enjoy the day with your friends and family.
Okay. Now, this is a local event, and you were talking about the fact that, the cash prizes are just about higher than any place else in Maine. Do you get many people from outside Albion coming and participating in this?
We do, actually. It's surprising. We get a lot of folks coming in from Madison, Skowhegan. We've had them up from certainly South Portland, down in the southern part of the state. We've had them from as far away as New Hampshire coming in. So over the years, what I've tried to do is actually keep just some records in terms of the geography of where these people are coming in from. And it is amazing. So I think as we get more recognition or advertisement, if you will, out there, we'll certainly bring on or pick up more people from these other areas. But generally, though, or I should say the lion's share of the folks are truly from the Albion area. So
I was just wondering what that would be. You're not specifically advertising beyond Albion to get people to participate, are you?
We do have posters up. I put them up in Skowhegan because I work up in that area at Sappy.
Okay.
So I put them up there. Some of our members are actually put them down south. So there are some posters, but we try and pretty much all of the stores between Albion, Unity, Fairfield, Waterville. So.
Okay, very nice. So now tell me a little bit about the experience of ice fishing. How did you get started?
I got started as just a young kid going out on the ice with my father in Upper Michigan. That's where that's where I'm from. And we used to do a lot of it. And then throughout the years, certainly with friends and family, I did a lot of fishing for, here they call them togue. Up there, obviously, we call them lake trout, splake, those types of fish. And then once I moved to Minnesota, in Minnesota, ice fishing is a big pastime. Very, very cold state up north, makes a lot of ice, and so there's a lot of fishing. So Boy Scouts took my sons out on the ice a lot. So over the years, I've done quite a bit of fishing. Haven't done that much since I've been in Maine, but this gets me going this time of year to get out and do something.
I've been in Maine since the early 80s, and mostly in southern Maine before coming to Albion. And I used to see ice fishing shacks on every lake in southern Maine from the time I got here. So I just sort of assumed that ice fishing was a big deal in the state of Maine. But according to you, it's not nearly as big a deal as it is in the Midwest.
Well, certainly from my perspective, and I'm sure a lot of Mainers will take me to task on that, but there is obviously a great love of ice fishing by the Maine sportsmen. And to your point, Brad, you see it everywhere you go. There's fishing shacks on the lakes. So
are you guys going to be dragging any fishing shacks out on Lovejoy Pond for this event, or is it just open air?
Both. Actually, there will be a lot of shacks out there. If I haven't looked in the last week or so, but generally on the day of the event, you'll see probably 12 to 13 shacks out there on the lake. But in front of the Fuller's Cottage, pretty much all open air there. So.
Okay. All right. So now, how good is Lovejoy Pond for fish? I mean, are people just yanking fish out of the pond all day, or what? How's the fishing?
It's a great fishery. I was truly impressed when I fished. The first time I fished that lake was with my son fly fishing, and the bass were just phenomenal. We were using light rigs and had a great time on the lake. Ice fishing, if they're hitting, everybody that's dunking a worm or putting a bait down will probably get a fish, whether it be a bass, whether it be a pickerel. It truly is a great little fishery. It's a gem that's really hidden from a lot of folks. So.
Yeah. So that probably is very motivating to the kids who participate.
Oh, absolutely.
When I was a kid, I tried fishing, never caught anything.
Oh, my goodness.
And so therefore, I did not have a real high interest in it.
Well, we're all kids when we start fishing, right? Regardless of our age. So come on down on the ice. We'll be happy to work with you.
Okay. What about refreshments? What do you got going on there for people? Because this starts at what time in the morning?
There is no real time. I mean, as long as you get out on the ice. But in terms of our group being there, we'll be setting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I believe we go until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll shut everything down at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So during that time frame, there will be a refreshment stand. Donations are accepted, of course. And my wife, Elaine, is actually leading that effort, her and Linda Vitale. So we'll have coffee, hot chocolate. There will be certainly water. There will be, I believe they're going to have sloppy joes. We have had pulled pork in the past. I'm not sure we're going to have that this year. And then other treats, cookies, donuts, that type of thing. So there's a good assortment of food and I certainly hope that the fishermen take advantage of it. It's another additive to our overall, financial income, if you will, to the club. So it's
Right.
good.
Yeah. Well, and certainly if people are getting there early in the morning and staying there any length of time,
Absolutely.
they're going to be pretty hungry.
Yep.
There's nothing that makes you more hungry than being out in the cold.
Oh, isn't that true?
Does anybody try to cook their fish while they're down there, or does anybody try to do that?
Some of the shacks that are out there, I'm not sure if they do, but they're certainly set up to be able to do that. Some of the folks that bring their shacks in, they're pretty nice. They're warm, they're cozy, and the families get together. It truly is a nice gathering, because as you look out across the lake, you see these various shacks out there, and the families will be out on the ice. They'll have bonfires in their little tubs to make sure, so wood or stuff doesn't go down and pollute the lake. But it's nice to see that. It really is nice to see the families get together.
Any final thoughts as to what you really want to make sure people know about this event before we get finished here?
Yeah, I think, again, the emphasis is about families. Getting families on the ice, spending time with your kids, and just having a fun time on this free fishing day that the state of Maine offers. So let me emphasize that. It's a free fishing day, which means you do not have to buy a license. You do obviously have to abide by all the rules, the state rules and regulations, but you can fish for nothing, free, that day. So
now, do you do it on that particular date because the state has said that that's a free fishing date? I mean,
yes,
you actually synchronize yourself with that.
We do, and the reason being that again, back to the whole tough times that a lot of folks are going through. We don't want to have to make them. Kids want to get out. They want to fish. They want to have fun. It could very well be a burden if they also their parents have to buy a license, to get them out along with the gear, et cetera, et cetera. So we try and make it easy as possible for people to have fun and have a good time on the ice.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is the cost for registering so that you could compete in the in the fish derby part?
Right. Again, don't quote me on it. My memory tells me it's $3 per fish registration. So if you're on the ice and you catch a largemouth, let's say, and you think it's a winner and you want to register it, then you have to buy the $3 ticket.
Okay.
And once you do that, that goes into a kitty where you not only have registered your fish, for the overall placement, but also that ticket or that registration ticket goes into a kitty into a raffle for another prize. So I think that actually goes to the bait raffle. So.
Okay. So in other words, when people get down to the lake, they don't have to turn around and start buying anything like that. That's what they would do. So in theory, if a person didn't catch any fish at all, they just simply wouldn't be paying for that ticket.
That's correct.
So there'd be no money out of their pocket other than refreshments at that point.
That's correct.
Okay.
And raffle tickets.
So and then they would look at are there any limits as to how many fish an individual can catch?
Yeah, they are subject to the rules and regulations of the state.
And that would be?
Oh my goodness. I'm not going to attempt to quote it here. We do have the regulations though on the table when they come in. They'll know them. We'll have them in front of them.
Okay.
So
it would be a matter of if you caught, all 4 different types of fish and you think each one of them is the largest one, then you'd register 4 different fish.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's the way that would work. And there again, I know that the price for this is on the Moo community calendar website because everything that's pertaining to this is on there. So if there's anything that we've said that you've forgotten, or you just want to get more details on things we may have forgotten to cover, pretty much everything you'd ever need to know is right on the website. So you'd want to go to moo202.org in order to get that kind of information. And I want to thank you so much, Tom, for coming in and talking about this and sharing this. And I hope it's helpful for everybody here in town if they want to participate.
Well, thank you, Brad. I appreciate the opportunity to come in.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Great. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that is the end of episode 1 for Moot Point. I'm Brad Taylor, and I do want to thank you for joining me and listening in to my conversation with Tom Bolen. And I hope you'll join me again for another episode when I find somebody else who's doing something interesting here in the town of Albion.
You've been listening to Moot Point. Please take a moment to like us on Facebook, and we'll let you know when we have our next community conversation with someone who's doing something interesting here in Albion. Moot Point is a production of The Moo, home of the Albion Community Calendar and the Moo Country Music Stream at moo202.org.